How do we face obstacles in life? Challenges, struggles. This is Daniel with Live Life in Your Flame. And there's nothing I could do. It felt like nothing I could do to get out of this. And there's a lot of the reasons why I ended up turning to drugs. I think a lot of people turn to drugs because they're like, I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. And that feeling is very uncomfortable. So we numb ourselves out. But I would get to a point like it was almost like I felt like the world, the universe was out to get me. It was like, why me? And instead, what I realized is those obstacles and challenges are something there. It's just another way to learn. It's like a lesson. And instead of saying why me, it's like I'm like, okay, what can I learn from this? This is something that is an opportunity for me to learn. And when I changed that mindset, it was like, okay, I'm kind of grateful for this obstacle because it's something that is challenging me. It's making me feel uncomfortable and it's giving me something. And like I've talked about in other videos where I almost died, and it was like in Costa Rica and had from a staph infection, and it was like, why me? But instead, it was such a big learning experience. It's something that changed my life in such a positive way. Without it, I don't think that I would be doing YouTube videos. I don't think I would be pursuing my dream of being a motivational speaker, because it took me out of that mindset of why me, and it made me realize like life is so short. Why not chase the the dreams that I've had since I was young? Like, it doesn't matter that I'm filing for bankruptcy. It doesn't matter I have no money in my account, because when I'm sitting there and the doctor's telling me, hey, you might die. We first am I going to amputate your leg and then you might die. I'm thinking, well, I'm not thinking of my bankruptcy. I'm not thinking about banks calling me nonstop, threatening that they're going to sue me or take my money. And I'm not thinking of, well, I don't have a career, or that the girl that I like doesn't like me. None of that. All those things go away. And when your health is on the line, you realize how important your health is. And so all those other things that you think are obstacles are not, because your health and me, and also thinking that like there was times where I wanted to commit suicide. I just didn't want to be here anymore. It's not like I wanted to kill myself, but it was like I was okay if a truck came and just ran me off the road. And that thinking was like, when I'm sitting there and doctor's telling me that you could die, I'm thinking, well, I don't want to die, because then the dreams that I have that I keep putting off forever are then be gone forever. And then you realize that your time on this earth is very limited, and that obstacle that I'm going through is actually just something to teach me. And when we look at these challenges and these obstacles in another light of like, okay, how do I learn from this? We take that obstacle and we change it in a way that like it's not something that is hurting us, it's something that is improving us. And it's like maybe we're going down the wrong road and we need to change something in our life. Why did this happen? And why did this happen? And I think it was like me almost dying was like, hey, you need to do what you want to do. You have a purpose here and you're not living it. So the universe needs to show me, hey, look, you have limited time. Stop messing around. You got to do what you're supposed to do. And we don't all have to get to the point of almost dying, but like, let's say you lose your job, or you break up with your girlfriend, or she cheats on you, or something like that. Like, maybe then it's like that person wasn't right for you, or maybe that job wasn't right for you. Maybe you need to work harder. Let's say you didn't get that promotion. It's like, okay, maybe this job isn't right for me. Maybe I need to do a different career plan. And it's like with Michael Jordan, when he didn't make the basketball team in ninth grade, it's like he could have said, why me? I'm so good and I know I'm good. Maybe I need to quit. And instead he took that as like, okay, I'm going to show them. I know what I'm worth, and I'm going to show them. And how powerful that is, that he turned that into a lesson, and he turned that negativity into something, to energy, because it's all energy. So when someone just they say you're better at whatever you're doing, and let's say people don't see you and they discount you, or they say you're not good enough, and it's like, well, you can use that for energy. Or let's say you're a runner and you break your leg and your career's over or whatever. It's like, there's a football player I remember, and he was like supposed to be number one draft, and he was going to play in the pros, and his last game he broke his leg, and his career was over. And he could have sat there and said, why me? Why, like, I've been working my whole entire life to be a pro, and all of a sudden this last game I'm done. And it's like, what am I supposed to do now? I spent my whole life trying to be a pro football player. I was going to be number one draft. I was going to be in the pros, and that my life is over. Why me? And I think anyone would say that. Like, at that point, you would be like, well, like, why couldn't it have been earlier? Why did it have to be right now? And it's because, well, maybe he was meant for other things. And he ended up being a motivational speaker. And he said it was like, well, one door closes, another one opens. And he could have easily just said, you know what, I'm done with life. I'm gonna start drinking, and life is just unfair. And you know what? Life is unfair. But it's unfair to everyone, I think. In some way or another, we're all going to go through some struggle. We're all going to go through some obstacles. And it's not like linear. It doesn't just go, okay, I go through this obstacle and I'm on my way up. Because there's always going to be another obstacle. And then some days you're going to be excited and motivated to do something, and the other days you're going to be like, oh man, something happened, and you feel down or you feel depressed, and you're like, I don't want to do this. And but the thing is how do you handle those challenges? That's what is, I think, what makes people succeed, and when people give up. Some people, it's hard, I don't want to deal with the uncomfortableness, I give up. Well, look at most people. I mean, most people just want a comfortable life. They want the comfortable job. They want the comfortable girlfriend. They don't want to put themselves out there and deal with being uncomfortable. And being uncomfortable is where all the challenges come from. And that's where you get the courage. That's where you get the strength, because you overcome the adversities. And every time you overcome another adversity, well, all that does is give you more confidence. It builds your character, builds your strength. And the next time a problem comes up, you're ready to face it. You're ready to face it because you're like, hey, I've already been through this. I've already gone through addictions. I've already been to rehab. I've already overcome all these other things that I thought I wasn't going to overcome, and I did it. And I'm here still. As long as you're still here, and as long as you're breathing, you have an opportunity to do something else. You have an opportunity to do whatever you want. And it doesn't have to be like the biggest thing in the world. You don't have to be the next Tony Robbins or whatever. I just always thought that I could be whatever I wanted to be. And ever since I was young, if I play baseball, I said I want to be a pro baseball player. If I play basketball, I said I want to be a pro basketball player. So when I say I want to be a motivational speaker, I don't think there's any way I could not be Tony Robbins. It's like, obviously now I can't compare myself to him. He's been doing it for so long, but there's no way that I think that he is any different than I am, in a sense that he started at some point. He wasn't the best speaker in the world. Just like whatever it is that you want to do, and if you compare yourself to someone that's doing it for 20 years, you're not going to be the same. But as long as you just keep getting better and you keep overcoming the obstacles, because they're always going to be there. There's always going to be, you overcome one and there's another one. But instead of looking at it like, why me? Or this is that I can't do this. And there's so many times I've been to a place where I'm like, how do I get myself out of this? And well, there are points where I literally don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't know how I'm supposed to get out at this point. And it's like to the point where I'm like, I'm going to be living on the street. And sometimes it's like, well, that is what, if you have to do that, is what you have to do. And living on the street is like, sorry, my phone. And living on the street is, well, maybe that's what you have to do in order to make it. But you know what? All it does is just adds to your story. You had to, I lived on the street and this happened and this happened and this happened. So all those things add to your story. And if you think about it as like your life story, well, everyone loves a story where people overcome and slay the dragons. They don't like there's no story if you're just like, oh, I went through life and, my dad gave me $1 million and I created a business and, well, it wasn't doing well, so he gave me another $10 million and I grew up with, $100 million at disposal because my parents were billionaires. And no one's gonna like that story. They like the story where the person is like, I lived on the street, I came back from homelessness, and I was a drug addict, and I slayed all those dragons, and I became successful. And these, because those stories are, the people they've learned so much from them. You're telling me that someone that came from the street is not going to have some stories? I mean, they're going to have tons of stories. And although I haven't lived on the street, I've lived in my car, and I've have stories after stories of battling addiction and having to move different places and filing for bankruptcy and then buying a Range Rover and feeling like I made it finally, and then losing everything and losing it again and losing it again. And all that did was just, of course, I came to a point where I'm like, how am I going to get out of this? Like, why me? Why is it like, I thought like maybe it's like karma from a past life. Maybe I was a bad person in the past life. And thing is no, it's just like the universe is telling me, one, it's saying, hey, you're going down the wrong path, or you need to, there's stuff you need to learn still. And thinking it back is like, if I wanted to be a motivational speaker, but I started when I was 25 years old and I didn't go through addiction and I didn't go through all these different challenges of losing business after business. I mean, I've started over 15 businesses, and out of those, I've only had 2 successful ones. So imagine 13 failed businesses, like, and 20 years of trying. I think a lot of people would have given up. And so 20 years of just failures and all those I mean, I have unlimited stories from those. So if I would have been doing it when I was 25 and everything was successful, my first attempt, I would have nothing to talk about. What would I say? Hey, I started the first business and took off. And then that's it. Like, here's my success. People are going to be like, oh, most people, that doesn't work. Most people's first business does not work. Most people, it takes many attempts, and it takes a lot of confidence in yourself, finding yourself. And you have to find yourself and love yourself first before you can do anything. And then, even then, if your first business is a success, you're not going to be happy because you're like, I didn't go through all these challenges. They're like, going through all those struggles is what is the happiness, because that's why people say it's like climbing Mount Everest. You climb and climb, and then you get there, and you're like, people get like kind of depressed because they're like, oh, wow, I'm up here. That's it. It was the struggle of doing it. And maybe they were happy because they made it, but it was the struggle. It was the time, the training. It was the climb. That was what was so powerful. That's what they had to endure so much. Maybe they took them 3 or 4 attempts, and it was that which was where they found themselves. They didn't find themselves at the top. They found themselves in the middle, in the struggle, in the falling down or whatever, the training. That's where they found themselves. And I think we find ourselves in those obstacles, not in the success. The success is like the that's where we realize, okay, we made it. And of course, it's nice to see the success, but it's through the obstacles is where we learn all the things that bring us there. So we look at the obstacles instead of saying, why me? Or like, how do I get through this? And it's like, well, you just got to figure it out. And you have to look at it as like, this is an opportunity. And I'm grateful for this opportunity. And that's why now every time, sometimes I feel down, or sometimes I feel like, how do I get through this? And so I just remind myself, hey, this is just another, it's just the universe telling you, hey, this is, you need to learn this, or this is just another thing to add to your story. And everything is something to add to your story. And if you think of it like a camera crew is just watching you, and you're the hero of the movie. And so every time you fail, it's just like another thing to add to the movie, to your story. And when you become successful in whatever it is, it those struggles are always going to be, they're going to make it so much more rewarding. Like like so much more rewarding, because you're going to look back and be like, man, I can't believe I did it. After all that stuff, after all those people doubted me, made fun of me, and you look at those people that doubted you, and you're like, well, look at you. You're in the same place, and look at me. You laughed at me, and now look where I'm at. So that's what when people say you can't do this, or they laugh at you, because they will. And I just look at them like, I know in my head, I'm like, one day I'll be laughing at you, because I kept going regardless of what you said. And I realized that I had to believe in myself. And so when those obstacles come, they're going to challenge your beliefs in yourself, and they're going to challenge, do you love yourself? Do you love yourself enough to overcome it? Do you love yourself enough to keep pursuing it? And maybe doesn't mean that the obstacles are saying that you're on the wrong path. It's just maybe you need to learn something. Maybe you need to stay on that path, but maybe it's just like, maybe you got to change topics. Like when I did the first YouTube videos I was doing, I wasn't being me, and I was just the wrong topics. I was kind of afraid to be vulnerable, because I was being vulnerable, and people that knew me were making fun of me, and I was kind of scared to put myself out there. And I realized I wasn't being me. And so I was trying to be someone else. I was trying to talk about manifesting, and I do believe in that, and I still manifest, but it was not, I was afraid to just really tell about my secrets of addiction and going through all these different struggles. And once I decided, you know what, I don't care, and I stopped stopped worrying about those people, and I started just focusing on myself and just loving myself. And once you love yourself, then you don't care what anyone says. So love yourself, and you find that love for yourself through those obstacles. Without that, you're not going to love yourself. And I think people that have it easy in life, they're not going to love themselves, because they're always going to kind of doubt, like, man, I had it so easy. I don't know. That's why you see a lot of people who've handed things in life. They have this, like, they end up, and this is a story. I remember I had a friend who was he was friends with Mel Gibson's son, and it was in Malibu, and they would go to these AA meetings in Malibu, and it was all these kids of famous actors and musicians, whatever. And it's funny is that they're all addicts. They're all addicted to drugs, because they had everything they wanted in life. And so nothing came hard for them. So they were just bored, and they ended up just doing all kinds of drugs. And I learned, I was like, man, this is weird. They have a huge house, whatever car they want. They have unlimited resources, and they're unhappy. And it's, yeah, because they're unhappy, because they know deep down that they're not real. They didn't really do anything. They didn't deserve that. And there's the parents that the ones that went through all that challenges, not them. And so they just turned to drugs because they were just bored, and they didn't have any love for themselves. So you find that love through those challenges and those obstacles. So when an obstacle comes up, just say, okay, what is this? What can I learn from this? This is another thing to add to my story. And it's actually a blessing. And even though it may not look like a blessing at the time, it is later, because you will look back and be like, that's a blessing. It was a blessing that I almost died, and that's weird to say, but it is. It was one of the biggest blessings I think I could ever have asked for. And obviously, I wouldn't want anyone to go through that, but having gone through that, I'm very grateful for it. So, anyways, if you watch this video, or if you didn't, I don't have any expectations for it. So, hit subscribe if you did, and I'll see you next one. And I've been through so many different challenges and struggles, and a lot of times I get to a point where I'm like, how the heck am I going to get out of this? How am I going to get out of this? Now, the choices that I made got me here, but how am I going to get out of it? And sometimes sometimes it was like it wasn't my choice. Something happened. It was out of my control. The universe, the world, whatever, other people